No, because see, a man who can lay a tile in the bathroom correctly makes more money than a college professor.
Right. Right.
The Booker Washington, in his educational technique, was pointing out
Mm-hmm.
that there are money-making employment areas other than teaching, other than law,
Mm-hmm.
you know, where you could be comparatively comfortable,
Right.
you know.
Have things changed a lot? I was just noticing a few years ago in going down 125th Street.
Mhm.
A lot of stores that you just assume blacks would be operating because they're dealing with a lot of collard greens and fresh fruit. They're all owned and operated by Asians and other cultures and
Koreans
Koreans.
and Vietnamese.
And I was wondering, what do you think happened? Because my understanding of Harlem is at one time, that's what blacks would have been doing. Those are businesses and things we would have been doing because it's our things that we still use.
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
That's basically true. But blacks never did own the majority of stores on 125th Street.
Okay.
And those who own the real estate on 125th Street who are not black prefer to keep it that way. And they will actually rent a store to a non-black cheaper than black. They make it difficult for blacks to own stores
Right.
in the main political thoroughfare of their own community.
Mm-hmm.
It's more than black inability or black reluctance. There's more involved than that, although
Okay.
that might well be involved.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the main
Yeah, but
reason.
that's what I was always curious. And I know since you're here, you would have a good insight into
Well,
that.
I've been here since 1933. I came here as a teenager.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been here 55 years.
What was or is the Harlem Renaissance?
Well, the Harlem Renaissance was a period of literary writing and interest in the arts that extended from about 1920 to about 1930.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a period when Harlem literally became the culture capital of the black world.
Mm-hmm.
Marcus Garvey flourished, early Adam Powers' father, Powers Jr.,
Mm-hmm.
and Sr. Was active. It was a period when we built a fine political party, built a political arm inside the Democratic Party called the United Color Democracy. It was a Harlem branch of Tammany Hall. Really, they started off as an Irish political machine, probably one of the most corrupt ever. But blacks,
I've heard that.
blacks
Mm-hmm.
had a branch in Harlem, and supported by white money.
Mm-hmm.
And black politicians were, in this community were more astute then than they are now.
Mm-hmm.
They did get patronage, a lot of it, like sanitation assistant, superintendent of that.
Right.
They didn't get many of the top jobs until finally Ferdinand Q. Morton for the Democrats and Charlie Anderson for the Republicans began to ask for judgeships.
Oh, okay.
After the first two judgeships, we finally got a police sergeant and subsequently a police lieutenant
Mm-hmm.
who was the captain when he died. Captain Battle. He was a lieutenant so long, even when he was a captain, we kept calling him Lieutenant. I knew him fortunately, and he lived not too far from here, on Strivers Row. That's when blacks the aristocratic blacks first began to move to Harlem, and they were moved to 139th Street, 138th Street, and they charged them extra for those houses. Those houses are now selling for $200,000, $300,000.
Yeah.
They were charged. The houses were built for maybe $9,000, $10,000, and the whites were charging $15,000 to $20,000, and they had to strive so hard to keep up the payment. They called their Strivers Row.
Makes sense to me.
But they all, to their everlasting credit, none of them lost the houses.
Mm.
And those blocks are still basically black owned.
Mm-hmm.
39th right straight through 36.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the houses in the block, those facing the thoroughfare, some of those apartment houses are owned by outside the community.
Mm.
But those houses, like this one is mostly back home.
Let me ask you the other one. So Will Styron's Nat Turner, and you edited that particular book.
No, that was a challenge to the to William Styron
Okay.
for his misinterpretation of the life of Nat Turner.
Okay.
He took upon himself to make Nat Turner in the book something Nat Turner was not in real life.
Okay.
Then he called it a meditation on history. Had he not called it that, we would say, well, it's fiction, so he make up what he wants to. But don't call it a meditation on history unless you stick to historical fact. He made Nat Turner lust after a white woman. There was no proof of it at all. And he either forgot or didn't know that Nat Turner was married and had a wife, and his wife was the secret keeper of the revolt. And Nat Turner, what set the revolt in motion, Nat Turner's wife was a slave on another plantation in another state. And he had to get permission from her master to see her. And that made him understand how terrible slavery was. So that's a good motivation for making Nat Turner. You don't have to have him lust after someone else. The real motive was a human relationship. He couldn't even have a human relationship with his own wife without permission from her master. And that's a strong thing to motivate a novel that could have been used.
That's true.
But he used some fictitious, story. Then he acted as though Nat Turner was really afraid to draw white blood, which he was not. But then he misunderstood Nat Turner's confession. Because Nat Turner confessed his most unique confession in history. He didn't hurt nobody. Everybody he told about was dead or escaped. He said, you take Joe, but the one he know was still alive. He didn't mention on that. Nat Turner's confession need to be studied as a
You did some. You also did some work. I was telling you the Malcolm X, Life and Times of Malcolm X. Is there any light that you may shed on it? I was just theorizing that I felt that after he went over to Mecca and came back, that he had a new concept or new ideals that kind of helped get him assassinated because they were out of text with what he had been.
No, there's a difference between the ideas that got him assassinated. He left here with those ideas, brought them back.
Okay.
But the ideas that he picked up in Mecca was a new concept of Islam, and he made an observation in Mecca that has been terribly misunderstood when he said that he saw whites, black, browns, all different shades worshiping together. Some people interpret this as that Malcolm X is now an integration. This was an observation.
Right.
An observation.
Yeah, and the book. Yeah.
It's not an opinion. He said, I saw this. And then he meant that different people, different races can get along. That's not a monumental observation.
Right.
Because it's true. They can once they put their mind to it. But Malcolm X was just as angry with the condition in the United States as ever. When
Do they have any? Did they ever figure out any reasons for, or in your research and putting why he was assassinated? Or?
Oh yeah, it's the basic reason. The Nation of Islam didn't feel safe with him, and neither did the FBI or the CIA.
Okay.
Feel safe. Malcolm X was advocating something which they definitely want to keep from black people. That's the concept of nation.
Okay.
They don't ever want us to think of nation. People want to program us into dependency.
Right.
When you speak of nation, you become dangerous.
That's true.
That don't mean you want a little piece of the pie. You want the pie, the cook, and the kitchen.
Not just a little piece anymore.
No. You portion out. Nobody cuts it for you anymore.
Right. Okay. Were there any differences as far as philosophies or theories for him and Martin Luther King? Or if do you see any or
There was a difference, there was a strong difference. Malcolm X maintained that every person had a right of self-defense. And he saw the limitations of the concept of nonviolence. Martin Luther King probably saw nonviolence as a way of life. Malcolm X saw it as a strategy.
Oh, okay.
See, a strategy is something you use as long as it works. I mean,
Right.
I'll be nonviolent until you hit me.
Yeah, right.
See, all bets are off. Once you attack me, because I reserve the right to protect myself.
Yeah.
So that's a very practical, you know.
Then maybe you think it could have been a way of life for Martin Luther King based on that whole Christian concept of turning the other cheek and those.
It wasn't Christian. It was our misinterpretation of Christianity. What we forget as a people, that the Bible is really a Jewish survival book, and a very good one. You know, and that we have to read it with some care in mind of why it was written and who wrote it. Why the people who wrote it no longer use it.
And how it works for us in the 80s is a whole complete different story.